CheckPoint can load attributes from a P1 file, be that a P190 or a P111. And you start by having a series of sequences, one or more sequences defined, either in the line-by-line method or using the date data entry. Once you've done that, just run the attribute manager. And the attribute manager will start and it will show you the sequences that you've got defined. And all you need to do is right-click on the sequence, select Add P1, select the P1 file and click OK. And the system will load that file in. And once it's loaded that file, you can click on it and you can see the summary attributes. For each of these attributes, we've got a line, mean, min, max, SD value generated. And you can also click on the top here and look at the graph of the attributes themselves within the attribute manager. We don't tend then to use the attribute manager for anything more than actually just loading the attributes. So if you close the attribute manager and go back to the reports section in CheckPoint, you can then generate a report that contains those attributes and format that report how you want. So we'll come down to here and we'll say Add New Report, Other, and select Line Log. And we're going to call this P1 Attributes and open that up. And if we click on Edit in this report and we use from our report editor gallery, drop in an attribute graph. Select the data, select it to be P1 and select one of the groups. And the system will drop that in. If we select the right sequence, it will display that data. And we can then tweak that graph if we want. So we might look at left value axis and certainly the data axis. We might look at displaying every 100th shot accordingly. And you can tweak that graph, add a title on that graph if you want to. The best way to do that is if you come into here and select group in the title with square brackets around it, it will automatically generate the graph from the attribute that's been selected. So that's our CMG graph. Now we could go in and repeat that process. It's much easier if you just right click on this attribute item in the report design and say copy for all attributes. And that will then just add in those graphs for you. And you can then obviously add in a header onto this. That will take out the top one because it's being repeated, and drop that in. So all of those attributes are now there. And you can reorder that, turn those on and off, set up that up how you want it. It's a really simple way of just generating a line-by-line report. And if we go in to our attribute manager and load in the P1 file for the next sequence, let's just select one, run that in, and again go back to CheckPoint, into the reports, and select sequence 2, the system will load in and display that. So it's as simple as that to generate from a P1 file a line-by-line report containing those attributes. So the other shot-by-shot source that CheckPoint can load is an SBS file. And the procedure is very similar. Come into the attribute manager and you want to load the SBS file on a sequence-by-sequence basis. But first of all, you will need to turn it on if it's not already turned on. So click on Attribute Sources on the toolbar. That lists all the sources that we have. Turn on the STS and SBS option. And that will give you then the option, if you right-click here, to load in an SBS file. I'll just load in this file here. Loads it in and will display then the information that's in that file. And again, exactly as with the P190 file, just click on, close this down and come back to the main CheckPoint reporting. Add in a line log. Let's call that SBS. Edit that. Drop in the line chart. Select it. Select the SBS option and select the first value in here, and it's just sequence 1, so the data is there. So again, you can come in and reconfigure this so that maybe the shot range interval is a bit more correct, and then again, just as before, right click, copy for all attributes, and it will just add all those in delete the one we originally added and click on all pages, and you'll see the information loaded in then, and obviously you can then reorder that, select the ones you want, build that into your own custom report very easily. The procedure for loading line-by-line attributes is very similar. Again, we go into the attribute manager and we load in, and I've already done so here, either STS, P1 or any other format of line-by-line attributes. And we get a table which has the mean, min, max and SD across the line for each of the sequences. We can also come in above that to the individual data section and load in the table which shows the sequence and the values, and also a very simple graph showing that attribute. So I've got here my P1 attributes and my STS attributes loaded in. And again, as usual, you can come in and display this in Attribute Manager just to visualize the data. More usually, you want to go back into CheckPoint and graph this in CheckPoint. And again, the procedure is very similar to the shot-by-shot attributes. You want to do it either across the whole project, you can do it daily, weekly and monthly if you prefer, but let's just add in a project report, and we're going to call that P1 attributes in here. Open that up, edit it, and drop in the attribute line chart into here. Select the data, and we're going to select our P1 attribute data, course made good, and we want to show the mean, and that will drop that into there. Exactly as we did with the shot-by-shot attributes, let's just drop that in, copy for all attributes, and we've generated all of those individual sections that have been generated, and the graphs are generated. Delete the original one, and we've got all of that data graphed, and as we start to build the sequences up, these graphs will automatically fill in with the data.